And welcome to today's edition of the Love Power Show. Today we have a special, I'm honored to be a moderator today with the absence of Brother Wallace Red. Today we have special guests here who are exciting, interesting, fascinated, knowledgeable, thought-provoking, and our special guests also offer solutions to the issues affecting African Americans and black people here and around the world. To my left, we have Dr. Omar Baruti. On down, beside Brother Baruti, we have Brother Lonnie Simmons. Across from Brother Simmons, we have Brother Talut El-Amin.
Yes.
And to my right, we have Brother Malik Rashid. All right, today's topic, we're going to be dealing with the media and how it affects people in general, and specifically how it affects African Americans and black people here and around the world. So we're just going to jump right on into the topic today. But first, we're going to do some definitions, and I have 3 definitions that we're going to go over first. Just so we can have an understanding on what we're talking about and the framework. I want Dr. Baruti here to give us a definition for the word media. So Dr. Baruti, can you handle that? What is media?
You know, media today is the means of communication of ideas, thoughts, practices to the people. And in the world, the mass media is generally through television, the internet, radio, newspaper, although newspaper is declining. But those are the general ways that ideas are transmitted to the people and thoughts are transmitted to the people. And when you look at media, it's a way to not only just disseminate information, it's also a way to control the thinking. And that's what they do around the globe.
Absolutely there. And one thing that I found out, and this was just, something that I learned starting with my research, when I looked at media, the word media is a plural word. So I asked myself, well, if media is the plural, what is the singular form of the word media? And so we have the word medium, M-E-D-U-M-E-D-I-U-M. So I want to go ahead and ask one of the panelists to define the word medium there. Anybody want to knock that one out for me? Brother Lonnie, you want to knock out the definition of the word medium?
The definition of the word medium is the means in which something is communicated or expressed. So an example would be the technology that we use to get a message or a communication across. And like the brother said, there's ways to get a mass communication out through these various mediums.
Right. And I'm glad that you used that word mass communication, because dealing with media, of course, we're dealing with mass communication. Also, something that I found out about the word medium, I ran across a definition of the word that struck me, and I want to share that. And just simply, medium, the definition that I came across is, it is an agency or a means of doing something. Once again, that's an agency or a means of doing something. And so I want to leave that as a backdrop for the show, because we also got one other definition that I want to ask for before we get more into the topic, and that is, what is propaganda? What is propaganda? Any of the panelists want to handle that? Brother Malik or Brother El-Amin?
Malik, you handle it.
Propaganda. Information based on a misleading nature used to promote or publicize the particular political cause or point of view. Propaganda.
All right. Anybody want to expound on propaganda here, Brother El-Amin?
Yeah, sure. One of the reasons why we're in our condition today is because of the effect of propaganda. Okay, we have been misled, we've been fed false information for centuries. We, in effect, we have no idea of who we really are. Okay, we have nothing to really do. We don't expound to anything, and all of this is as a result of propaganda. Okay, because if we were fed the truth, we would be a totally different people today. Okay, but because of the system of servant and master, the servant is never to acquire the information or knowledge of the master. So it takes propaganda to keep that relationship. Okay, and we're the victims of that today.
Absolutely. That's going to lead us on. Or anybody else have anything to say about propaganda before we get to our questions?
Yes. Propaganda. I just want to say that propaganda is, like the brother said, it's a controlling tool that the system use against our people. Particularly, I have lately I ran across a CNN interview that was talking about the bombings that happened in France and the people being killed there. And it also went on to say, why was there no coverage on different things that was happening in different parts of Africa? And basically, the guy was saying that it just wasn't necessary. It wasn't in our best interest to talk about what was going on in Africa because they weren't directly related to America sending this fund in there, or it having basically people of European descent being there. In a nutshell, he was saying that if it's black, it don't matter. If it's other people of color there, that's where we're gonna focus our attention at. So those are some of the things that the media uses against us whenever they make an app on your Facebook to where you can just post up a flag, a French flag, or you can say, I'm fine if I got somebody that's from France that might be hurt. But when you're from any other country and any other thing that happens, these same tools are not being used for people of color. We don't have an app that I can go to and say, brother Baruti, I'm in North Memphis and I'm okay. I'm in South Memphis and it's a situation here and we fine. We're not able to post and put up Nigerian flags or, any other flags of where people of color are being killed by the masses, slaughtered. But the media can put this out there the way they want to, and that's on us to, what's the word I'm looking for? Take it in or, get rid of it, counteract on it.
Right.
All right. I definitely agree with that. Just if you've been paying attention to the news, I'm pretty sure everybody in the world is aware of what happened in Paris. But since the attacks on Paris, as my brother was stating, there have been attacks in Nigeria, there have been attacks in Kenya, and even most recently, there was an attack in a hotel restaurant in the country of Mali. So we want to ask the question, why were we so quick when we heard about the news of France to go on our Facebook profiles and put a red, white, and blue flag up for France and ignore the atrocities that happened in the motherland and didn't react the same way to those situations there? Propaganda is the reason. Okay.
Can I expand on that? What the brother just said, which if we look at one of the words that's included in propaganda is derogatory. So if I can identify a person or a group of people in a derogatory sense, that's my propaganda. So if speaking with media, if I wanted to say, hey, the people in France matter more than the people in Kenya, then I have to always throw derogatory images for the people in Kenya, the people in Libya, the, you know, people in Ghana, wherever. When you see black faces, so we got to understand we got to break propaganda down, and we got to understand who is in control of the media. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, Brother Baruti, we're gonna back up a little bit here. I think we've already touched on this question a little bit, but in your opinion, why would us here on the Love Power Show, why would it be important for us to even have a topic or focus for black people? Why would media be an important topic of focus for black people here in America?
You know, let me say this first. This show is brought to you in part by the office of Deshaun Peoples. Deshaun Peoples is the attorney who's handling the case for Darius Stewart, who was killed right here in Memphis, an unarmed teenager that was killed right here in Memphis in the Hickory Ridge Mall area just a few months ago. You can reach Deshaun Peoples at 605-3887, 901-605-3887. The first 30-minute consultation is absolutely no charge to you. But to answer the question, media is key to controlling people. If you can control the media, you can make people do whatever you want them to do. Right now, we have our children wearing pants, sometimes down to their knees. Who in the hell would have convinced a black man to pull his pants down to his knees in any generation, except with controlling the media? Right now, we have black men doing some of the most damnable things to themselves. Who would think that you could take a man to make him turn against his own nature and destroy his own community and his own family? When Adolf Hitler was trying to go after the Jews, he gave everybody a free radio. There was no television. He gave them a free radio. And then he put the propaganda on the radio airways so he could control the minds of the people against the Jews. It came out in history that he burned his own government building down and then blamed it on the Nazis and then blamed it on the Jews. Now, when you got media and you control that media, you control the thinking of the people. And right now, through the media that they give us, our thinking is totally being controlled. We just like robots, automatons, and we follow whatever the master tells us.
And this is a great follow-up question. I think I'm going to ask Brother El-Amin to handle this one here. In general, Brother El-Amin, do you believe that the majority of African Americans or black people recognize the influence the media has on their thought process and their behavior?
Absolutely not. Because if we did, we'd be geniuses. Absolutely not. And to prove the point is this, it's really simple. When the terrorists, quote unquote terrorists, bombed France, black people across the country changed their profile to reflect the French government. Now, but black Americans don't know that France still charged half of Africa a colonization fee. They have to, that's a slave fee.
Yes.
France controls half of Africa and rule them with an iron fist.
Yes, today.
Okay? They murder and kill anybody who comes up in Africa, any president who comes up in Africa claiming independence. They're going to kill that man or woman. And if the people decide to push France out, history dictates the French tears up everything that they gave to the people. They destroy all the buildings, all the bridges, all the roads, the TV, and in fact, today half of Africa have to, in order to get internet, TV, electricity, and all that, it comes from France. In other words, it comes from, they extract the resources out of Africa, bring it to France, then sells it back to the Africans. And they can't do one thing about it. And that includes Haiti and other countries, okay? So propaganda caused us to believe that the French are genuine, innocent, good people. And also, we like to hear the French language spoken. We enjoy the culture of France, the Eiffel Tower and all this kind of crap. And therefore, the propaganda has worked on us more so than anybody else in the world. The rest of the world know the activities of France. The black American knows nothing about what's going on in France. In fact, on Facebook, someone put a map of the world on and asked black folk point out France. Nowhere in the world they knew what France was on the map. Nobody made a comment. You understand?
Yeah. Good point.
Anybody else want to expound on that question?
Let's look at that too, because I'm gonna come up off of Dr. Talut. France is a country that fought with the Haitians.
Yes.
And the Haitians won the independence from France. And after they won the independence from France, America made the Haitians pay reparations to France. And they paid reparations to France even into the 19th century, into the 20th century. They were paying for their freedom after they kicked them out and beat them up.
That's right.
So France is not a country that I should idolize. It's one that I should try to criminalize, because that's exactly what they did to our people in the Caribbean.
And I'm going to add one quick thing to that point too. I read a book several decades ago. It was about how the French negotiated the purchase of slaves. They negotiated the purchase of slaves in the quantity of pounds. 2,000 pounds of Negroes. This is the cruelty that the French people imposed on people of color around the world. We should snatch every one of those colors off our Facebook profile.
Yes.
We shouldn't support these people. And one thing we have to understand is one good thing that come out of the tragedy, unfortunate tragedy in the loss of innocent lives, we are discussing and finding out and discovering who and what France really is as black Americans.
And bringing awareness about Africa.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to point out something that the brother said as well, to just kind of simplify it, because I know both of my brothers here digging deep with y'all. So I just want to make it a little easier for you to understand.
Thank you.
Nothing happens to nobody innocent. You would think, oh, these people innocent, maybe the kids was innocent. But when you talk about France, as y'all just heard, we're not talking about an innocent person. So these so-called terrorists, they not just going to strike random places and random people. They know exactly what they doing, and they got certain targets that they going after. I can guarantee the people listening in this audience, nothing is gonna happen in your projects here in North Memphis or South Memphis, because they don't have an issue with us. The issue is with a certain people, and they know exactly who those people are. So, we can walk around here. I have never been shot because I'm not in those situations to be shot. I'm not saying you can't be at the wrong place at the wrong time, but I'm saying this stuff that's happening is happening to who it's supposed to be happening to. It's not by accident. When people strike the first blow and they get first blood, when people strike back, you can't look and say, oh, they innocent. Why did that happen? No, you need to dig deeper. You need to find the truth. Like we done, and be asking yourself, well, if these terrorists hit and they killed all these people in France, why?
That's right. That is the question.
It wasn't for no reason. Why did they do that? That's all I get.
To keep it moving there, I want to go ahead and send a shout out to Mr. Ken Wilson at 576 North Hollywood. Telephone number 901-413-1701. You need to contact Mr. Ken Wilson for all of your signs, banners, and flyer needs. He'll take care of you at a good price. Once again, that's Ken Wilson at 576 North Hollywood. Telephone number 901-413-1701. And I hope that the last dialogue with the brothers there, if any of my listening audience of our listening audience is waving that flag, that France flag, I hope they put something in your mind to help you have a change of heart on that. We're going to move on to the next segment of still the topic is going to be media. Well, also, while I was doing the research on the show coming up, I came across an article written by a Christian West Savali. The name of the article is Throw Away the Script, How Media Bias is Killing Black America. How media bias is killing Black America. Now, I'm just going to read a short little piece of this article before we continue. She starts, media injustice, which leads to both the erasure and criminalization of marginalized communities, has had dire consequences for both the psyches and lived experiences of Black people in America since at least the 18th century, when newspapers ran lost and found ads for runaway slaves. In 1964, it compelled Malcolm X to stand before a crowd in New York City's Abaddon Ballroom, where he would be assassinated less than 1 year later, and make it plain as he could. This is the press, an irresponsible press, he said. It will make the criminal look like he's the victim and make the victim look like he's the criminal. If you aren't careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. 50 years later, these words are just as true now as they were then. I think we have a caller on the line. Caller?
Go ahead, caller, you on there?
Yes, sir. Isn't it true that during World War I, France had colonies in Africa, and all the superpowers had colonies dragged slaves in there to fight for them? Is that not true?
Hey,
They speak French
Was it
today because
Algeria, wasn't it? Was it Algeria?
Yes,
look,
yes,
the colonies
sir.
go back several hundred years.
Back to slavery.
I mean, it goes back a lot further than World War II or World War I. It goes back centuries.
Yeah,
So
1500s.
it's nothing new about that. The thing is, we really need to take time and understand what it really is. What is colonization? And actually, aren't we colonized too?
that's a good question. That's a good thing to point out. Caller? Were you-
Caller?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm listening.
Did you have more?
No, I just wanted to, I was just thinking about a lot of these people that doing these things that they claim ISIS. They may be seeking revenge for what happened to the ancestors years ago.
That's great that you point that out, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
BT in South Memphis.
All right, we appreciate your call.
Love
Appreciate
South
it.
Memphis.
I want
Thank you.
to add to that. It was also the French who took over Australia and killed out the indigenous black man in Australia. So, like the brother said, France is not always innocent, you know, but through propaganda and media, they could be portrayed as, you know, the innocent victim.
All right, we'll rewind there. I just have a little bit left on this excerpt. It says, 50 years later, these words are just as true now as they were then. The words saying that the media has a tendency to make the criminal look like he's the victim and make the victim look like he's the criminal. What has not been fully addressed, however, is whether the press deliberately supports a white supremacist agenda, as some people believe, or has the media's complicity mutated into something less intentional but equally dangerous, perhaps even more so. So that's a good question she poses in this article. She says what has not been fully addressed, however, is whether the press deliberately supports a white supremacist agenda. Dr. Baruti, do you want to expound on that? What's your opinions on that?
Let's look at that. You know, when Tamir Rice was assassinated, murdered by that police officer, the first thing the press did is went to his school to see if he had been suspended. They went to the juvenile court to see if he had an arrest record. And then when they couldn't find anything on Tamir Rice, the 12-year-old, then they went to look at his parents' arrest record to see what they had on their record. Michael Brown the same way. They went back to his school and back to his juvenile record. And the same thing with Trayvon Martin. Here's a young man that was going to his father's house doing nothing that was criminally negligent, doing nothing at all, just being a child. Now, a man accosts him, Zimmerman, and this man ends up murdering this child. But the first thing they do is they drug test the youth's dead body. They go and look at his record in high school to see if he got suspended or had any drug charges. They don't even look at Zimmerman to see if he got drugs in his system or whether he's been arrested. He had been arrested a few times before he got to Trayvon Martin. Then they villainize the victim and they deify the criminal. That's America. And that America is something that we got to all wake up to and do something about.
Absolutely. Brother Lonnie, you got anything to add on that? All right, brother El-Amin.
No, he nailed it.
All right.
Dr. Blue nailed it.
All right, so I'm gonna try to make this a little bit more relevant for the present time that we're in. This Friday is known as Black Friday. And around this time of the year, there are numerous amounts of advertisements and commercials encouraging people to go out and spend their money. Does anybody here on the panel know a brief history? You know, you don't have to give a full essay on it, but did anybody give a brief history on the Euro-American so-called holiday of Black Friday and where this holiday or so-called holiday came from?
Well, since there seems to be a delay in response, I respond. Look, Black Friday, it's just an accounting period. Okay, it's the end of the year. It's where corporations concocted a scheme to get inventory out of the warehouses into the consumers' homes and pockets. Okay, it's simply a last-ditch effort, a part of a last-ditch effort to sell, to clear a warehouse across the country. But I'm going to ask you a question also as regards to Black Friday. Which is more important to us? The black man, the black woman, the black child, or Black Friday?
Question.
It's definitely not Black Friday. I think we do have a caller.
Brother Cosby.
Yes, sir. You're asking one of the brothers, Brother Cosby. You're going to this topic of Black Friday, but I'll say something on that too. But I did want to say that propaganda is, half truth, half fact, and a certain percentage of truth and a certain percentage of whatever you or one person or a group wants to convey to another, whoever, and basically it's a mixture of information, and it can be, it doesn't necessarily have to be said, in words, spoken or transmitted, internet, TV, video. It can also be through action. Right here, I just really want to, I'm always going to bring it home. Memphis, right here, the Memphis Tennessee, we are looking at the actions of people toward us, and that conveys a message to us. For example, brothers, when we do our tour of certain stores, I want to see there is a specific message being transmitted to customers. How many times have you gone into a store and asked a question in no English, and I don't understand what you're saying, and I can't get off the telephone because I've got to speak to whatever language, Arab or Korean or whatever, but generally the Arab people do that. And so it's disrespectful to the person who's standing there, and the message is being transmitted there that, I don't have to do anything, to respect your rights. And then another little instance in that propaganda action is when you go to a store and nobody says thank you. And sometimes I just have to throw a couple of, licks in and say, what's the word for thank you in Arabic? And they laugh and we laugh and so forth, and they tell me, but the message still, after we in that conversation, no one still says thank you. In other words, what does that mean, and how does that register with the person who's spending their precious hard-earned dollars? And so that's something that we are going to have to tackle. Disrespect, and on top of that, people who are short in stature, and we can't help that. But they stand on raised platforms that may be 2 to 3 feet above your head, and it's something we're going to have to talk about. This is our community. But anyway, I'll leave that alone. Black in general, and I understand, Brother Ronnie, I think, Brother Jeffrey, where I think he's going, is that, that's the holiday, the big money changes hands. And so I'm all the way down with 1010 or else, and hope to be, engaged in that daily. Thank you for listening.
All right, you're welcome. Thanks for calling. Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Memphis, Tennessee. The city, where Minister Farrakhan called it, the city of the dead. But I believe these bones can rise again.
All right, who we have the pleasure of speaking with? All right, this is Brother Kazi?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for your call, brother.